tell me about the coronavirus task force and what that was. What was that like? What was going on there?
I was the lead staffer for it. I was actually on the task force from day one because I was the person covering it and tracking it for the vice president at the time, Mike Pence. And I was there when the markets dropped, when the CDC was very honest in their assessment about their concern about what's coming. And I was there when Trump turned and handed it over to Pence because they wanted to control the messaging, the internal dialogue. And so what I saw firsthand, I think, was horrific in terms of how the doctors were treated that were on the task force. And I'm talking about people like Dr. Fauci and others. This was a moment of crisis where I think we all should have been rowing together. And look, I mean, the virus at the time and everything we knew, it was so unpredictable. But the reality is that we had done exercises on pandemics. We've done war games on pandemics. We know how to run an operation in the US government. But all of that was just basically pushed aside. And so what we were left with was this dynamic of doctors doing their best, trying to figure out how we're going to navigate this in a whole of government response and trying to figure out how we were going to keep American people safe with a person who was completely irresponsible sitting in the Oval Office, who would come in and derail some of the meetings, who would go out and deliver insane talking points that would oftentimes put people at risk that were not at all actually what was the discussion that happened in the room or in the meeting. And it became just a very frustrating, angry situation, especially for someone like me who was like, what are we doing here? I've spent my entire career. I joined the service because I wanted to protect Americans and keep them safe.
Yeah.
And right now, we had the president of the United States at the time doing everything that was undermining of anything that these people were trying to do at the time. And so, I witnessed what Dr. Fauci went through firsthand. I had numerous, nonstop hours every day of trying to figure out how we would navigate this behind the scenes together.
Yeah.
And it was one of the most awful things I've ever actually worked on. And I've done a lot of crisis events in response. And for me, that compiled with what we saw that summer, we saw the clearing of Lafayette Square. Remember that these are all the things that were happening in 2020 at the time. And I think when I look back on that period, that to me was the straw that broke the camel's back, to speak. That's where I was like, I can't let this person, if I can do anything I can, I will throw myself in front of the bus to stop this person from getting reelected to office.
Yeah.
And that's why I made the decision I did.
Yeah. Well,
and, here we are.
We talked briefly about lawfare, and didn't we hear in the last couple of days that a staffer to Dr. Fauci has come under fire, either indicted or sued? I can't recall which one.
Yes.
But they won't let go. They will not let go.